Tchaikovsky once said that inspiration is a guest that does not willingly visit the lazy. This reminded me of my teenage years, and particularly creative writing tasks in English. I never understood proactive creativity. I always expected inspiration to come to me, and when it didn't, it gave me a reason not to do something. I would leave it until the last minute. Then, the night before, I would force myself to sit down and do it. Sitting down brainstorming ideas is what made me creative, not a eureka moment. But I still carried this habit into university, because habits stick with you. I left all my essays until the last moment, because I was waiting for a bolt of lightning inspiration. Guess what? The night before the deadline, I'd pump myself full of caffeine and do an all-nighter. This is what led me to investigate motivation, and particularly self-motivation. I overcame this destructive habit, learning the things I'm going to discuss in this video. The stereotypical teenager is lazy. We all know it, right? It's a cultural rite of passage. They sleep until early afternoon. They walk around like zombies trying to do the bare minimum. Ask a teenager to do a chore, and they'll respond like you asked them to scrub the toilet with a toothbrush. Where's the motivation? Where's the energy? Where's the vigor of youth? It can seem impossible to get them to do anything. It can seem impossible to get any urgency out of them, and it can be incredibly frustrating. You spend their childhood trying to get them to sleep. You spend their teens trying to get them to wake up. No wonder this parenting thing is so confusing. As a teenager though, it can feel like you're treated like a child and expected to behave like an adult. It can feel like being scrutinized all of the time. What if someone was there to analyze every move and then critique you about it? Imagine that actually. Karen always coming over and telling you that you need to do this or that, and that you're doing everything wrong. Karen ain't gonna survive long. Don't be Karen. Trying to motivate your teen like this can actually have the opposite effect. It can make them more likely to double down in a form of juvenile rebellion. To understand how to motivate your teenager, or anyone for that matter, it is important to consider the factors that cause a lack of motivation. The number one reason people lose motivation is not knowing why. If you don't understand why you're doing something, it'll be very difficult to motivate yourself through it. Think about how many times you've heard your teenager groan, asking why they have to do something. We all do things automatically without thinking. It's only when things get tough that we start thinking about them properly. If a teenager is doing well at school, they just keep doing what they're doing because it's getting them good grades. If, on the other hand, the teenager is struggling, they will very quickly start questioning what the point of something is. What's the point of learning algebra? What's the point of studying history? What's the point of reading a book? You will never get someone who enjoys those three things, so not knowing why is a motivation killer. How can you get motivated for something you don't see the point of, especially when you find it difficult? What if a teenager asks, what is the point of doing well at school? You can answer by saying it means you will have more opportunities in life. You will have more options. You can choose what you want to do. You don't want to be forced into a certain job or way of life. Work hard, keep your options open, and choose what you want to do in life. That motivates the next generation more than just saying, because I said so. Lacking direction is another serious motivation deflator. If your teenager has no plans or strategy for what they want to achieve, the day-to-day becomes difficult. A teenager's brain is scattered at the best of times. If there is no system to manage this, then it leads to a demotivated, directionless teenager. Whatever your child's goals, academic or personal, it will help immensely if there is a plan for the achievement of that goal. You might be wondering, how is it even possible to get my teen to have a goal? For that, you need to sit down with your teenager and discuss where they currently find themselves. Struggling with maths? Let's create a plan on how we can stop you struggling in maths. Establish a routine. Get resources together. Textbooks, YouTube videos, websites, anything that will help. Force them to commit to a manageable schedule for 30 days at least. Let's say 40 minutes focused study on maths 3 times a week. Encourage, motivate, discipline, at least for those 30 days. Do not compromise. Guess what? After 30 days, your teenager will see massive improvements in maths. After 30 days, your teenager would have internalized a routine and turned it into a habit. When something becomes a habit, it requires less willpower to do. That means motivation levels go up. This can be done for the achievement of any goal. As a parent, you must lead and cultivate this in your child until it becomes a habit. The third reason is lacking understanding. Your teen can have all the optimism in the world, but as soon as there is something they find really difficult to understand, their motivation goes flat. And the longer they don't understand something, the worse it gets. This is why schoolwork suffers so much. When the going gets tough, the teenager gets going, as far away as possible from the problem. It is very difficult to be motivated for something that is confusing. In those situations, you need to help your teen break things down. Every concept has basic foundations. Teens should learn to reduce complex ideas into their simplest forms, and then build them up from there. If they see every complicated idea in the form of building blocks, then they can understand what the basics of that idea are. If teenagers do not believe in themselves, then it is much easier to give up when something goes wrong. It is very easy to say, "Oh, I never really had a chance," when you hit an obstacle, if you don't believe that you can make it in the first place. Self-belief and self-doubt will move your teenager closer or further away from success. It is that powerful. As a parent, the starting point should always be to cultivate and encourage self-belief. If you'd like a video on how to increase a teenager's self-belief, then comment below. If you find your teenager is not motivated, then deal with all these factors individually. They should know why they are doing something. They should have a strategy and a plan for it. They should break down the complicated idea into the basic. And finally, they should believe in their own ability to achieve great things. That's how you motivate a teenager in 4 steps. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment. And most importantly, don't forget to join the revolution in parenting.